Hey, this is Tony.
This is Paul coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast.
And we're go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. If you can, before we get started here, go down below, hit that subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. Also, just want to let you know that Friends for Life is hiring. So if you'd like to come work here with us, head over to friendsforliferc.com, click on our employment page, fill out the form, and we'll get back to you. Today, our special guest is the one and only Ryan Wichman, meteorologist at WTOL 11, and he is here to talk about his awesome new playground and organization he's created, Wood County Plays. And they're opening up a new playground that is all-inclusive for kids with disabilities, for kids without disabilities, for everyone, and we're super excited to talk about it. We also get some pretty cool stories out of Ryan, so you're not going to want to miss this one. Let's dive right into it. All right, Ryan, thank you for coming to our humble podcast studio and joining us for the afternoon.
I heard it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is hopefully going to be a lot of fun.
They lied to you.
I don't know who told you that, but they're full of it. So yeah, thank you for coming in. We're really excited to have you. And most importantly, before we dive into everything, really want to get just dive right into this Wood County Plays stuff, man. We're super excited to hear some inclusive playgrounds for kids because, as we all know, that's lacking anybody with a child or family member with disabilities.
Kids and adults. It's going to be fun for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. We're still aiming July 31st for opening for it.
Yep. So the playground, we saw it in the news. I reached out to you, and you know, it's so cool to see, and especially coming in Perrysburg, it's a wonderful place, and you know, just to see the excitement of not only you but the kids and all the interviews and stuff you've done for it with the news and BCAN and all these places is super awesome.
They did a great job. BCAN's drone shots and the way they put that together, they did a great. Jordan's fantastic.
So yeah, it's awesome work. And so what was the inspiration for this?
So very simply, my son, he's 4 years old now. Shout out Grant. Someday you'll hear this.
Next week, hopefully.
That's right. He was 2 at the time, and we went to a couple of the parks in Perrysburg. He has a genetic condition, so he uses a walker to get around, help him, and as you guys probably know, that most playgrounds are a no-go. Walkers, wheelchairs, they stink.
Yeah.
And so we found out very quickly that we were going to have to help him get around the playground. And quite honestly, it ticked him off. Even as a 2-year-old, it ticked him off that his parents had to help him onto a playground when he saw all the other kids running around. And that night, me and my wife, Kaylee, we went home and we said, we got to fix this. There has to be something better than mulch and stairs for playgrounds. And so we very quickly found out what inclusive playgrounds were and what they meant. We found out there was one down in Findlay at the Miracle Field that they have there at the Cube. And so we went down there the very next day. It had poured rubber, it had ramps, it had inclusive material on it. And we said, why in the world don't we have more of these?
Right.
Why is there not one in Perrysburg where we live? And so we very quickly reached out to other families, other parents, formed up a 501c3, and here we are 2 years later after a lot of research and a lot of stuff that we went through, and we're building a playground.
And from what I've seen so far, it looks awesome. Like, I wish I could go back in time and be a little kid and go play on it.
I'm a little partial. It is pretty awesome.
So what kind of things can people expect once this thing opens up? I mean, you know, there's so many cool things going on there, and I've seen the pictures and the videos, and what's some of the highlights of this park that are really gonna like stand out?
Okay, well, first of all, when we designed this playground, we designed it with one big intention above everything else, and that is for peers to be able to play side by side.
Nice. Beautiful.
And so I got so annoyed at some of the playgrounds I went to, and they had the inclusive swings, the bucket swings, next to the baby swings. Those are not the same age. You know, a baby and a 5 to 12-year-old, I'm sorry, those are not the same. They do not interact with each other. That's not how this should work.
Right.
And so we really tried to take that mindset when building this. So when we put the swings up, it is going to be age appropriate together, where a kid or kids from school who interact with each other are going to be able to say, hey, this weekend, our parents were going to the playground, and those kids can actually interact and play with each other. So number one coolest thing probably that's going to be on this playground potentially is going to be the zip line. We have what the playground company called their longest zip line they've ever put in on a playground.
You're kidding me.
So it's going to be
records.
sweet. Exactly.
Nice.
We're going to have a traditional rope swing bay, and then we have a bucket swing bay. So they can go side by side, back and forth together. So that's going to be pretty sweet.
Dude, super jelly right now. I am. No, that's awesome. How long, do you really think that it will take for more communities to kind of get this in their mindset?
I think we're already starting to see it. I've been working a little bit with the Kiwanis down in Fremont. They're building another big playground down there, which is fantastic to see. And other communities have already reached out to me and said, what is this? We've heard of inclusive playgrounds. I think we've brought a lot more awareness to it, and we're going to use this as not a one-off cool check mark. We've done an inclusive playground. Now we're done. Right. We're going to say, hey, communities, this is how all playgrounds should be. Not just the shining beacon one in each of your communities. Every kid should have access to every playground.
And that is an issue that we've brought up on this podcast a million times. Yeah. No matter who's in the door, playgrounds, buildings, transportation, all this stuff is heading that direction. And, as working in the news, I'm sure you've heard the new whole thing with the mayor and the Office on Disabilities.
Yep.
And it's so awesome to see your hometown take these big initiatives because I feel like Toledo is becoming a huge hub for all of this stuff right now because it's how many organizations we've talked to just coming out of the woodwork with all these huge projects they're doing to make everything more inclusive for those with disabilities.
But as it should be. And working in the news so many times, let's take disasters, for example, Hurricane Harvey and other things. We do all these fundraisers, right? And it always raised truckloads of canned goods or money to send to other parts of the country. This community has a giant heart. I think what we need to do and what's being done is focus our energy and show people there actually is this void and need in the community. And when you bring that up and show them that, well, here's how we can fix it, this community is going to respond, and they are responding. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of guidance and a little bit of light being shined in an area where maybe it just wasn't being shined before.
And I think sometimes it takes people like you to go ahead and, even your wife to break down the barrier and go and talk to people, other than just sitting there like, oh, somebody should be doing this.
I remember when we got home and we said, okay, we're doing this. This playground's going to happen. And it was going to be one of those, well, either we're going to be a small and mighty band and somehow we're just going to make this happen, or the community is going to get on board. And we're very thankful the community really did get on board. And it was so easy talking to all of the companies in town, all the families. I really, especially the last year, I'm really blown away by the number of families who have reached out to us and just said, this is something that's been needed for a really long time. And I can't tell you, my family has not been able to visit playgrounds because I have, one kid who has a little special extra needs and one that's typically developing. And there's no playground that's suitable for both of those. And so to try and allow families of all diverse abilities as well to be able to visit a single place, I don't think people who grow up in a typically developing family, if we want to say it like that, they don't understand the mental strain day to day of not having an outlet for those kids.
Yes.
That's deep. That's true.
They don't understand, and it's not because that they can't understand, it's because they haven't lived through that before. Right. It's a 75-degree July day, and what are we going to do? We're going to sit in our house? No, the kid wants to get out and play. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to the playground. You're going to have to lift this kid around left and right or try to help them get on equipment or whatever their needs are. And your back's going to be broken by the time you're done with it. The kid's going to be frustrated because she sees other kids running around doing things that they can't do. And whoopee if a playground has a bucket seat on it because they can't get to it independently themselves. We need spaces where families can go and truly explore and have it be a fun time for the whole family.
Well, and that exact reasoning you just gave is why Tony and I started this podcast, is because there's not much visibility in the whole disability world, if it doesn't affect you directly, most people do not see it or talk about it. So bringing community awareness is a huge deal. And the way you see the park like that you're building is, it's not just for disabled kids. It's for kids of all types.
Yeah, this is for
Exactly.
the entire community.
And one of our missions at the heart of this, not only side-by-side play, but at the heart of that is we are now going to start fostering relationships with kids at a young age that see other kids that have different abilities.
Yes.
And when they realize that at a young age, and they're now going to grow up realizing that, not finding it out later on in life, they're going to say, well, yeah, that's John. Yeah, he uses a wheelchair. So what? We had a great time on the playground together. He still had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. He's not different than me. And being able to see those interactions happen in a safe space like a playground, I think is going to be long-term something that pays off for the community as well.
That's awesome that you say that, because we just had a midweek meeting when we were talking about inclusions from Disability Scoop, an article based on the internet, but how children are being more groomed to be able to understand these differences, not necessarily to turn a blind eye to them, but to know, recognize, and then develop a relationship with the person aside from the difference that they may have. So you're speaking right up our alley.
Well, and the amazing thing is okay, there's a big community investment, there's this, but the playgrounds don't work backwards. Like, if you build a playground that's not inclusive, kids with disabilities have a hard time using it. But you build a playground that is inclusive and everybody can use it. It's
Exactly.
It's an all open, all like free game for everyone. So kudos on that. So is there plans to maybe build more of these parks, or is there plans to maybe cooperate with
Maybe.
local
I need like an evil laugh.
Yeah.
That was like the Mr. Burns.
Yes, very shortly, either on our opening day, July 31st for the Perrysburg one, or very shortly after, we will be announcing a new community partner and a new inclusive playground project, which will be starting very shortly. We called ourselves Wood County Plays for a specific reason. We feel there's a need in that county that we live in, and so we want to try to meet that need. And who knows where we're going to go from there. But this is not a one-off fundraiser just for one playground. This is going to be a long-term mission of ours.
Perfect. That's awesome,
man.
And that's what we need more of around here. And congrats on doing that. It's such a huge endeavor to undertake.
I don't think I understood.
Playground
I didn't think I was
cheap.
going to become a construction project manager in the process of all this.
Sometimes you just wake up and you're just like, oh, this is the bed that I made.
There's plenty of time, but it's like you can't let the kids down, so you just make it happen. So, but I am looking forward to, after July 31st, taking maybe a week off, maybe taking a little bit of a break. But we're going to dive right back into this puppy. We're going to make it happen.
Well, we're excited. We're going to have to go check it out. Maybe take some of our individuals out there, because just have a blast. And so is there any? I mean, I saw a lot of cool stuff. You've mentioned a few of the highlights. There's also some stuff that's like helping with what's the word I'm looking for?
No one knows.
Sensory. There's sensory stuff on the playground.
Absolutely. So, first of all, one of the big things, so what we did the first summer is we, as a group of families, and we have a physical, occupational, speech therapists on our board. Good. So we tried to hit as many as we could. We have a preschool psychologist. We have a school principal as well on our board. So we tried to hit as many things as we could, plus a couple of individual families. And we said, okay, we've got a lot of good knowledge here, but we really want to hear from the community. So first thing we did is we sent a survey out into the community. We got over 200 respondents, which was fantastic. That's pretty good. And we said, what is important to you on a playground? You guys tell us. Number one was shade. So we tried to put as much shade as we could on the playground. And number two was fencing. We heard from a lot of families who live with family members with autism who don't find many of the playgrounds in our area safe, simply because the children can sometimes become a little bit excited and run off. And so we designed fencing around this playground that's going to get installed next week. And obviously with that, autism spectrum, we also were looking at tactile, sensory things. We have what's called a cozy dome on the playground. And so if one of those children become a little bit overexcited or a little bit overwhelmed, it's kind of like an igloo, but it has holes in it. So it's kind of a
Nice.
safe place, but that child does not have to be removed from the playground. They can stay on the playground, take some time, collect themselves, and continue to play. So we tried to do something like that as well.
That is very, very intelligent.
We when I took going back a little bit to accessibility, when we take our son to the playground, one of the more frustrating things when you're a kid, the number one thing you want to go to on the main superstructure of a playground is the tallest point, right? You want to get to the tallest side,
the top of the racket.
So one of the things we did is we built a sloping sidewalk off to the side, and we built a retaining wall so stairs are not an impediment. If a kid wants to get to the highest level of the playground, he can go right on up there and get to the highest point of the playground. There should not be a penalty getting on the playground and then running into stairs that's a dead end. You should be able to get to all levels of the playground. So that's something else we tried to think ahead of when building this.
You thought of everything.
Yeah, you guys got a good.
I'm sure we're going to find out we didn't, but
I just imagine you like at like 4 a.m. just like, oh, I gotta get this. We gotta get stairs. We gotta get ramps. That's a madman scientist.
you're not wrong.
Well, that's a good thing. We'll switch topics here a little bit. I mean, the park's super awesome, but you've also had,
parks are all right. Whatever. Yeah.
Park is very
That was
amazing.
last week's news.
Yeah, enough of that. No. So being a meteorologist, I'm sure
Hit me with it. Come on. What have you always wanted to know?
What have I always wanted to know? Well, it's like every kid's dream, apparently. Like rocket ship, meteorologist, news anchor, all this stuff.
I will say I still want to go on a rocket ship, fair one, or build a rocket ship. Yeah.
I'm sad we still aren't talking about dinosaurs. You ever see like those memes? They're like, nobody asked me what my favorite dinosaur is anymore. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Mine's lame. It's I gotta say, well, actually, I like the Triceratops.
That's pretty sick.
Triceratops.
I like Triceratops too.
Yeah.
I was always I like the saber-toothed tiger. Like I've always loved tigers and stuff, so it wasn't a dinosaur. So I could never. I don't like reptiles.
You say saber-toothed tiger reminds me of like Power Rangers when I was a kid.
Right.
Nice.
It's more
Now
than
we're
time.
talking.
Yeah.
And look, I was always a Green Ranger fan. And
Yeah,
I'm wearing green.
Tommy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that, so I didn't have to.
But hey, am I committing the cardinal sin? Like you can never wear green.
I cannot wear green. That one, the producers would hate you for that. Yeah, you'd be in big trouble. That would blend in like exactly with our green screen. You would disappear. I've done that for Halloween before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, one year for a Halloween prank, I wore an all green shirt and I had it framed up, so all you could see was my head and my hands.
Oh, nice.
And so I was pointing at the numbers like with my nose.
That sounds cool.
We've done like one green screen thing in here, and it was like an absolute nightmare. So I can imagine you got some real professionals working there, unlike me. But so the news and the weather is always tricky because I know all the time I hear people are like, the weatherman was wrong, but you're not a fortune teller. I think that's a key point is you're not a fortune teller.
I get paid a lot more than a fortune teller.
Yeah.
No.
Right. So as a meteorologist, I don't really know what that means. I just know you guys are on TV talking about the weather. So
as I like to say, it turns out predicting the future is hard.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we have to establish. But we are scientists first. We're geeks. We're nerds. We spend about an hour or 2 hours before you ever see us on air. We develop our own forecast. We don't get it from anywhere else. We look at the satellites. We look at weather models. We use our own pattern recognition and intuition to forecast the weather. And so sometimes that jives with what you see elsewhere, and sometimes it doesn't. In many ways, it's an art. Every meteorologist from the National Weather Service, TV stations, elsewhere, we all have access to largely the same data. It's how you interpret that data. So we don't just look at, computer model 5C says it's going to be 35 degrees today. So no, we don't do that. As great of weather computers as we have, they still take up many rooms. I mean, and they do gigawatts worth of data every single day. They're fantastic. Your tax dollars go to these supercomputers to help fund them. And the best part about them, they're wrong. They're always wrong. They're great. So we have to take data that we know is pretty good, and we have to use our intuition and our pattern recognition from forecasting in this area for a long time and say, yeah, that looks great, but I think the cold front's actually going to come through instead of like 4 p.m., more like 2 p.m., and the storms are going to be a little stronger than what they're saying. And so there's still a little nuance that goes into it and a little bit of art that behind the scenes maybe people don't see, just because we have to boil it down from all of these numbers, all of this atmospheric data, and go, Yeah, it's going to be 74 today.
Does the
Well, you were right this morning. I brought my umbrella and I was good.
Listen, if I wasn't right today that it was going to rain, I better get out of this business. That's all I got to say.
does the Great Lakes have any like make this area trickier? Because I hear a lot about all this like lake effect and this and that, and is it just no?
No, we don't get lake effect on this side. We're actually the boring part of the entire Great Lakes. We get like hardly any effects from the lake. I would say the two biggest effects we have from the Great Lakes are if we have a certain pattern with a northerly wind, cold fronts come out of Michigan faster, so weather models are terrible at picking up on that. So yesterday was a great example. Most weather models weren't picking up on rain chances in Toledo until like 6 p.m. We bumped it up to 3 p.m. and it ended up being like 2:30 when the rain actually started here. So that's an example. And number two is if we have a strong northeast wind, that many times weather models don't do a great job with that. Cuts down on snow potential, drives up the lake on our side, and typically leads to a colder day than what was anticipated. So we don't get any cool stuff.
Yeah, well, hold on, because this is kind of, it's off subject.
Go for it.
Do you and any of the other meteorologists, do you guys have contests to see like who's going to get the best percentages?
We call it the forecast of doom. We will before a snowstorm or something, right? We will sit there and be like, okay. Because Toledo Express Airport is the official observing station for Toledo. Ironically, it's basically in Swanton. Anyway, yes, but that's where it's taken. That's the way it's done. And we say, okay, how much is it going to, before a big snowstorm, and we'll create like an over under. Yeah, we have contests all the time about it for you. So yeah,
where are you landing on them? Come on, are you in a leaderboard at times?
Always say yes.
I'm on the board, but there's only 4 of us, so I'm always on the board. So,
there you go.
Finish first every time.
Right.
That's right. Finish top 4 every time.
So how do you choose to be a weatherman as a career? Because I just fell into this.
You.
Yeah. I feel like you're right.
That felt like Morpheus or something.
I was trying to be like, and one day he said, I shall be a meteorologist.
That's how it happens, I thought.
Yeah.
So I used to be petrified of storms. This is what I tell kids all the time when I go to school talks. In kindergarten, first grade, I was like petrified of storms. Really? I hated it. I'd go hide, thunder and lightning, hated it.
Wow.
But I had a great teacher in first grade, Miss Seeberger, and she took me down to the library and fed what I didn't realize wasn't fear. It was actually a curiosity. And so I read a whole bunch of books about weather. It was about the time Twister came out.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Great movie, by the way. We could talk. Don't worry. Yeah, we could. The Sex Zone. Yeah, we can talk about. It's great. Love that movie. And I started reading about it. By the time I got to like 3rd or 4th grade, weather went from something I was afraid of to something I was beyond curious about. I knew by the time I was in 4th grade that I wanted to be a TV meteorologist.
That's crazy.
So the fact that I'm sitting here today actually doing it now for over 10 years at WTOL is pretty wild. I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, I still don't know what I want to do.
You'll grow, when you grow up, you can figure it out.
Maybe I need to go play at the playground for a little while and figure it out.
Use your imagination.
It is trippy. I think that's how it happens. Like when people start diving into their fears more than fears and curiosity, you just create this whirlwind of. You notice how I use that?
I like that.
Of expectations for yourself. Like,
don't get me started on puns. You'll be in big trouble.
Look, I try to come up with some good ones every now and again, like my dad jokes and stuff.
Love dad jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Tony's the 5-time over dad, so he's got plenty of jokes to go around.
Morning time with kids, we're always coming up with some.
You're exactly right, though. Getting back to like what's curious, and I think that can be something that can address a much broader issue with a lot of things, which is. Definitely. We many times go to our silos and we hang out in our own little groups and we try, it's comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Get out of your comfort zone, learn a little bit more about yourself and stuff around you, and you'll find something maybe you didn't realize you were really interested in that you are.
Yeah. Speaking of comfort zone, I did a little digging on your bio there. Don't worry.
No, there could be some real bad stuff. This is going to be great.
So on June 3rd, you have done some storm chasing in your time. Now that would scare me. I've heard some
scares
stories.
Me too.
Yeah.
You mentioned storm chasing, but safely, and I was like, "Is that a real thing?"
Yeah, that's a double entendre.
What's that like? Because that looks when I see those shows with storm chasers, I'm always like, That has to be thrilling, terrifying, and like I don't know.
Okay, the number one question I ask if anybody asks about storm chasing, my number one question is, do you like gas station burritos?
Yes.
Because you do a lot of driving if you're doing storm chasing. It's always hurry up and wait for the weather. All right, so I've seen 6 tornadoes in my life.
Wow.
Can I tell you guys a cool story?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. So my first WTOL was not my first TV station. My first TV station was out in Quincy, Illinois. I worked there for about a year and a half, but I had a lot of freedom, some time off. And one day, a severe weather setup looked really good, and it was my day off. But I was going to have to drive to Oklahoma to get there.
Wow.
12-hour drive, and I just come working off a double on the weekend. And my buddy calls me and he says, "Setup looks pretty good." And so I packed my bags. I left at about 3 o'clock in the morning, drove all the way down to Oklahoma. And here we are sitting there. We know we're in the right spot. I'm looking at satellite. I see the next wave of energy coming off the Rocky Mountains. This thing is screaming at like 120 miles an hour. So it's going to get there in like an hour. And so we've got a super unstable atmosphere. The winds in the atmosphere are exactly right. Like we're in the middle of Oklahoma. Like this is going to happen.
It's golden.
All right, have I built it up enough? Yeah. So the storm starts to form, and way off in the distance, I can start to see a funnel cloud coming down out of this thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we did it! You know, we did it. So the funnel comes down, and then it goes back up. And it's like, okay, well, that's what happens with severe storms. They cycle. Let it cook a little bit. Let the marinade get into the meat a little bit here. Like, let's let this thing go. And we're at an intersection. When you're storm chasing, give yourself road options, right? In case you got to bail out here. Bad things can happen. Well, we're sitting at this intersection, and we're getting reports on the scanner because we've got a little CB radio that a couple storm chasers use so you can hear what's going on. And they start yelling that they've got 90-mile-an-hour winds, like just to our west, like a couple miles to our west. So we know this storm is really starting to crank up. And then we start hearing crackling on the radio that some storm chasers to our north at that intersection are getting baseball to softball size hail falling down on them. And so we're sitting there, we're like, all right, we're not going north, we're not going west. And I'm looking at this bowl shape coming right over the top of us. And that is where the tornado is going to come out of. And that is directly to our south. Okay. So I can't go south, can't go west, can't go north, and the storm is about to cross over that storm, the east option. So what we're gonna have to do is sit in what's called the bear's cage of this tornado. Anybody want to go in a bear's cage?
Oh no, never.
Yeah, no thanks. So we creep behind. Right as the storm is passing us, it drops a tornado, multi-vortex. If you've seen the movie Twister, that's the sisters that are dancing around each other. So we're about a quarter mile away from this thing as it's coming across the road. It's ripping power lines and trees out of the ground. Just absolutely wild. The thing grows to be about a half mile wide. Okay.
Wow.
It's moving at like 50 miles an hour. So we're trying to keep up with it. We can't. There's no way you can keep up with it. All of a sudden, I turn around and I notice something hit the ground on the road. It's like a crystal ball, and it just shatters. And I'm like, what in the... Uh-oh.
That was Was it hit?
Yeah, it was hail. And we realized that the storm was it was overtaking us. So we were in this precarious little position between hail, wind, a tornado. Like, okay, we're just gonna itch along, and the storm's like, like blows you over. So we're sitting here, and all of a sudden you just hear this. And you're like, oh, that wasn't good. And you look in front of you, and it is like I don't even know, like a space like alien invasion movie where you just start seeing like hail coming down all around you. And it's softball to baseball size hail coming down, hits the ground, shatters like these things. Well, that 90-mile-an-hour wind catches up to it. So now you got Nolan Ryan throwing ice chunks at the side of your car. We lost 3 windows in our car.
Jesus.
It was wild, absolutely wild.
Yeah,
so
that sounds awesome.
It was pretty fun.
I think to date, that's the best story we've ever had.
I gotta find some real dramatic music while you're playing that. That was epic, man.
So it was cool.
The important question is, was it your car or your buddy's?
This is my other number one rule when you go storm chasing. Always take your friend's car. Never take your car. Never.
Hope you have progressive.
Sound advice.
So being the kids that we were at the time, of course, we naturally found the next town. We got to Walmart. duct taped some tarp to the windows, kept storm chasing. It was a good day. It was a good day.
That sounds super thrilling.
The extreme.
Yeah.
That's life-changing.
Did you ever do that again? Because that sounds.
That was actually one of the last times I actually did storm chase. Not because of that. That was quite a few years ago. But
yeah,
we don't get storms like that around here.
That's very true.
And if we did, I would be on TV. So.
Yeah,
you have to get the call from the boss, like, you're coming in. We got a tornado. Like, all right, here we go.
Son of a.
So, you know, with your job, I'm sure it's fast paced and high volume news stories, all this stuff all the time. I have an itching question because Tony and I do this 1 hour a week. Pathetic. You guys do it for a full job.
Yes.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
How are you guys always so awake and alert? I just feel like you're good at it. Because I woke up at like 9 this morning and I'm like, please kill me, please. I mean, I woke up at 6, Tony.
Yeah, right.
Well, mentally, I woke up at 9 o'clock today too. If that makes you feel better, right. So I did like 4.5 hours of news. I didn't even know where I was.
I didn't know what was going on.
We have a hypnosis person right before you go on the air. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. You just got to do it, man. You're helping people. You're helping people wake up. You're getting their day started. It's really good we got Tiffany and Tim on the anchor desk. We've got Steven doing the traffic. Those guys are fantastic. They bring the energy every day as well.
And they're fun. They look like they have fun.
You think we have fun on the air? Wait till you see what we do off the air. I mean, it's a blast. Look, you could sit there and moan and groan and say, 4:30, here we are. Or you could say, listen, this is a pretty cool job. I mean, we get to do the weather, we get to do traffic, we get to do news. Yeah, there's some times where it's a little bit cruddy, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a pretty fun, cool job. Let's have some fun with it. Let's try and start people's day the right way.
You're a veteran with this. So with the live thing, see, I can do this all day because I know I'll edit it. It's no problem. But when you throw the live thing in there, I used to work at a nonprofit, and somebody from the news came up and was like, "How are you doing?" I was like, yes. I was like, I didn't have time to
I don't know what to do with my hands.
We're doing Ricky Bobby. We are doing great today. Is that just a skill you master over time? You don't even think about it anymore?
Well, I actually think this is harder.
Really?
Yeah, because if I know I can do it again, it's sometimes easier to mess up. Whereas if it's live, if you make a mistake, baby, you just keep cruising.
You just keep
And let me tell you, I make a lot of mistakes. You just keep on cruising and hoping people don't notice.
That's very true.
That's how you get viral moments nowadays.
You're not wrong.
Under scrutiny 24/7.
I'm 2 weeks in and I haven't gotten any of those yet, but I'm sure one's coming.
Yeah.
So with the park, opening soon, are you guys excited? Are you going to have like a big party when it opens, or is it just kind of like a come and enjoy it?
I'm starting to think we're going to need a bouncer on our opening weekend.
Definitely.
I think I underestimated by making a grand opening event how many people were like. I thought it'd just be like, oh, cool, we're going to cut a ribbon, ka-chink. I get to use those gold scissors. I've always wanted to use those. Cool, that'll be fun. I think last check, like on our Facebook event, we have like over 700 people that are interested in coming, and we're like,
we're going to need more hot dogs, people.
There's no hot dogs.
That's my bad.
Yeah, disclaimer.
You get a crowd of people, where's my hot dog?
That's right.
And then you come back
You
here
didn't tell
and
me
light
you had
us
this
up.
many listeners. My goodness.
Yeah, we have more than the news.
Right.
Yeah, right. Tens of listeners.
Yeah.
I'm officially never invited back now.
Trust me, if that were the case, Tony would have fired me a long time ago.
I can't
if you've seen
afford
some
that.
of our other episodes, you'll be like, okay, this is very tame. So this is my favorite part of the show because we get to play a little game show with you.
Let's
Tony,
do it.
Tony has some questions for you.
Yes.
Tony, hit it.
Rapid fire. So, rapid fire.
You don't have a music budget?
It's in the end.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
I can't afford it.
The licensing fees just get too
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it gets bad. The point of rapid fire is for you to move rapidly. Now, you're used to live TV, so we're going to try to put a little timer right here. And
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
with that timer, if it's not there, people, please hate shame him.
Use your imaginations. We're
Yes.
working with a playground here, people, all right?
Look, Amazon. Alexa, start a timer for 30 seconds.
That's not how this works, Tony.
Well, if anybody's listening, they have an Amazon Alexa, it should start.
Alexa, play Let It Go from Frozen.
Winner.
And we just got sued. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, but it's
Okay.
going to be a would you rather scenario
Okay.
for each one. So, number one, would you rather be on an episode of The Bachelor or Naked and Afraid?
Bachelor. I like my clothes.
Okay, in an emergency, would you rather have a single-handedly operate a commercial aircraft or a cruise ship?
Aircraft. I always wanted to fly. I want to be a pilot.
But do you know how?
The air traffic control talked me through it. Put the autopilot on.
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Haven't you ever seen Airplane?
Look, I've seen them land, and it looks complicated. Okay, lastly, would you rather ride a wild boar or a wild bull?
Oh, probably a boar because I would get mangled and probably lose a limb. But I feel like a bull, I'd probably lose my life.
Yeah, I think they'll leave you alone if you play dead. Don't take my word on it, unofficial.
I don't,
If
I
you-
don't think
if-
that's true.
If you lay there long enough, you won't have to play. They'll take care of it for you.
They'll finish them.
that was
Fatality.
by far the fastest rapid fire we've ever done.
Well,
I
you,
think
you
so.
really built that up. I thought I was waiting for like 20 questions here.
Yeah.
Well, I only like to do 3 because listeners, and I'm a hummingbird myself at times, so I barely pay attention to these podcasts, let alone
What's
other
the
people.
what's the really big interview question? Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck, or have you heard this one
No.
before? Oh, I'll have to come up with it.
Your turn, rapid fire
I just
us.
totally
Yes.
killed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I should.
I mean, I think
I'd fight a
I'm
horse-sized
trying to
duck.
find with it.
I
I'm
think
trying
I
to
could
find what it is.
take a duck.
one like horse-sized duck or like 20. I've killed this. I have no idea. Somebody's out there like, you're doing it the wrong way, and I'm like, yeah, I
Well,
am.
a lot of our past ones have been helped. I've written them with the help of my children. So there's been a lot of poop scenarios and butt
Oh,
cheek scenarios.
sure. Yeah,
so,
naturally.
That's what kids are into between the ages of 6 and 8, I guess.
And 30.
I was gonna say fart jokes never get old. In fact, we made some on air today.
Very, very good. I want to see that.
I think we've
I'll go
only
back
had
and-
one guest rip one here and just act like it didn't. We just kept going. You
Well,
probably I was
clearly
closer.
you've never heard of Silent but Deadly.
It was
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, because I was closer. I was closer than you. It found its way under the
Did
table.
they own it, or it was a?
No, it was kind of like it
No,
just happened.
I own mine.
Yeah.
You gotta own it.
You
you
gotta
gotta
own
stare
it,
them
yeah.
deeply in the eyes and be like, "That was me." Now tell me what I have for
Eye
breakfast.
contact.
Assert your dominance early in the podcast. All right, let's get back on track here.
Yeah, right.
So,
I thought we were on track.
oh, yeah, we are never on track here at Friends for Life podcast. So, are there any? I mean, you get to do a lot of cool stuff being in the news. You get to go to a lot of cool places, do a lot of things. What's the coolest thing you've got to do? I mean, I know it's probably not an easy question, but there's got to be like one thing that was
No,
like,
definitely the coolest thing. We talked about this actually before we went
Oh,
on the
yes,
air.
yes.
I got to ride about 4 years ago in an F-16 with the 180th, and it was awesome. I mean, everything you want it to be. The guy was like, we're going to go after this. And he said, the barf bag's over here. And I said, I don't care. I'm not using that barf bag. So
it's going in your face.
And he went
just gonna
like,
swallow it.
he went all out. He goes, get ready. And so we took off, and he asked the control tower for permission for an unregulated like ascent, which means he can basically go anywhere he wants straight up.
Wow.
So we went from hovering right over the tarmac on takeoff. We went 90 degrees up to 10,000 feet, and then you barrel rolled out of that thing. It is so cool. Like, it was so cool.
Did you pass out?
No. We pulled 7.3 G's at one point. He goes, I'm going to try and get you to black out. and for the first time in my life, and I did the, you got to like squeeze
Yeah.
all your, speaking of butt cheek, squeeze. And for the first time, I saw the blackness coming in, and it turned into like one pinhole of light. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, son of a, it's gonna happen. and right at that moment, he came out of it, and the light just went like back, and I'm like, oh, like that was wild.
That is so cool.
It was
That's
cool.
definitely
And the
for adrenaline
glass,
junkies.
when you're sitting in that thing, goes down to like, basically your hips. So when you turn upside, we turned upside down a couple times, like you're just like it's so cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
I that experience would be so awesome. I've flown out of Toledo once, and not that long ago, and it's weird because like you're so discombobulated up there because you're like, you can't look at your phone as a compass. You can't you're like, where am I? Like you can see downtown for like 2 seconds and you kind of like regulate, but like flying into basically to Swanton, I'm like, I live here and I don't know what's going on.
That's one of my favorite parts of flying. No, is we were flying because we went all the way to Indiana. We went because they have a training center out there.
Yeah.
So we flew all the way to Indiana, and it was like 20 minutes to get to central Indiana. It was like, I could get used to this. Yeah. And we're like, well, there's the Maumee River, so I think that's Napoleon. And I looked a little closer and I go, nope, that's already Defiance. Oh, hey, there's Fort Wayne. Wow, that was fast. Like,
That's
wild.
so cool.
It was
Look,
cool.
I leave that up to you guys. I'm petrified of heights, and every time I go on the plane, yeah, man, I fight it. It's like at 15, I went to Cedar Point, and I used to go all the time. My mother and I would go all the time, and I rode every single ride, and it was good. But then at around 15, there was the newest ride at the time, and I noticed the blinking light. And I was like, that's so a plane doesn't hit it. No, that's too high. We should not have to go that high. That's death possibly at the end. And then, I mean, just from there, I can barely take an escalator at Macy's sometimes.
You've really psyched yourself out now.
So whenever we take planes now, I purposely sit at the window so I can get used to it again.
This is like the old conundrum. If there's an airplane crash, let's say a commercial airliner crashed full of 100 people, and it crashes right on the U.S.-Canada border, where do they bury the survivors?
Ooh, that is deep.
I don't know. They probably just blow up. I don't know how it works. How
You don't bury survivors.
Oh.
Yeah, I got one.
I can't believe I didn't catch that.
Old school. Those of you out there, that was old school right there.
That was dad joke level.
That was. Yes, my man.
You got me.
That's probably going to get edited out.
No, I'm used to making myself look like a jackass on this show. It's totally fine.
I'm thinking like, well, are they American citizens? I mean, they should.
You think about all these things.
All right, I have a proposition. Let's all get Tony to go skydiving. Have you done that?
No, actually, skydiving's I think something I'm going to hold off till I'm like 70. I don't know. My brother's done it, but I don't know about skydiving.
My grandpa did it for his 70th birthday.
Well, there you go. It's
And
meant
I went
to be.
with him, and it was terrifying
You did it?
and awesome. Yeah.
I know that I would love it.
You would love it.
I also know that I would probably pee down my leg standing on the airplane ready to jump off because I would be so terrified.
That'll be you making the weather then.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want that rain. You don't want that rain. Paul's sitting over there like, pee down your leg? What are you talking about? It's because I'm petrified. I would be so scared.
No, I was just thinking, like, why is that weird? I've been doing that this whole interview. I'm not really that worried about it. What's so weird about
It
that?
always goes back to bodily function.
It does.
Yeah,
No,
right?
man, we
Yeah.
can't get away from it.
We can't. I'm telling you, Maddox, son, you have really created a
monster.
A monster here.
All right. You've just beat me up for the last 10 minutes. So before we wrap things up here, why don't you let people know all of the information of where they can find not only you, but more about the parks and your future plans, and obviously they can find you on
Oh,
television.
yeah, the serious
every day.
part of all this.
I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot. We usually get to the end here and we're like, what? Why were we doing
Who
this?
are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on here?
Okay, well, first of all, you can see me every morning, Monday through Friday, over on WTOL. It's Channel 11. It's so good. It's #1 twice. That's the easiest way to remember
Nice.
it. Thank you.
1T1.
4:30 to 9 a.m. You'll see me on there. I'm on every 6 minutes. If you don't see me, well, your TV's probably not on. So turn it to the right channel. As far as the playground goes, Wood County Plays, a simple Google search will get you there. Our official website is wcplays.org. We're going to have more information on not only this playground. We love to talk to families. If you want to send us a message, we put families on there as our inspiration, and so people who come there can learn more as well. And yeah, pretty soon we're going to hopefully announce where we're headed next.
That is so fun. I'm so happy that you were able to come on, because when we talk developmental differences to people, we want everyone to realize these are normal, everyday people going through normal, everyday things with challenges, like you've said before. And even bright, bushy-tailed person like yourself, you're going through these things and making strides to make our communities better.
I feel like for some reason when I was growing up, it was like a taboo subject, and I don't understand why. I just don't understand why.
With me and my Uncle Larry, we lived together. We did everything together. I love him so much, rest his soul, but he was the reason that I ever started this. So I was blessed enough to be engulfed into this world as a kid, into now owning my own companies and helping people develop their own brands and change. It's change for the positive. So I'm very happy to have a comrade like yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be. I'm a little bit newer on the scene, but I'm ready to use my voice and what capacity that I have to let everybody know that it's okay to celebrate differences. It's okay, and we can help each other out, and we're going to make this place a lot better because of it.
Heck yeah.
Well, you're the man for doing that. Positive change in the world. That's what we care about. And thank you so much. We'll let you get back to you. You said you've been up since 3 a.m. and it's like noon, so I don't want to keep
I don't go to bed till later. We're good. No, I'm ready to go. I come naturally caffeinated. We're ready to do this thing.
You're a better man than me.
I'm just kidding. After lunch, I'll fall asleep.
Look, I got a little bed in the back if you want.
He really does.
Did you see me walk in here? I can't use a little bed.
All right, Ryan. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, hopefully. We'll bring you back again for more
Can I do it again sometime?
Yes,
right
definitely.
Now? Sweet. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of the Friends for Life podcast. If you can, help us out, go down below, hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. If you're feeling really up to it, head over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave our podcast a rating and review. We would love that so much. I want to take a minute here to thank Ryan for coming on and sharing his awesome stories. And what he's doing with this playground is super awesome. And as he kind of let slip there on the podcast, there might be more to come. So we're very excited about this. The playground should be open really soon after this episode airs. So go check that out for yourself. Take your kids there, learn about all the awesome equipment they have, and just enjoy an awesome playground experience for you and your kids. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.